Hey guys, what it do? How are you doing? How's everybody doing this week? I know I'm tired. I feel like I'm really exhausted and I'm like overwhelming myself with so many things, but I have so much to share. My creativity, like tips are just buzzing. So anyways, if you're here, it's because you clicked my title and it's about starting over in your 30s. So if you are in your 30s and you're watching this, or even in your 40s, just try to keep up and be open-minded, and I really hope that I can guide you to a place where you're like at peace with this new you, with this new era you're in. I'd advise that you get a drink, get a little one, a short one, because it's not going to be so long like our podcast. By the way, if you are new here, welcome. My name is Bami and this is Barbie Diaries. And basically what we're doing here is empowering women, building you back up, realigning you with what is meant for you, trying to change your mindset and how you view yourself, and definitely going after those things that you desire, but according to God's will over your life, right? Yeah. So get your drink. This is my little drink. Lovely stuff. Sipping. It's like a little like what is it? Ribena and bitters mix. My mom likes mixing that kind of stuff, but it hits different, so it's lovely. So we are talking about starting over in our 30s. For those of you who are new and you don't know about me, my name is Bami. I was married. I think I got married at 27. I don't even forgot when. I got married around, I think I was 27 at the time, and I just wanted to be married. I was part of the bandwagon babes that wanted to just be married, end all be all, everything. Just getting married. When I married, I wanted to have a kid. I felt like I was following a sequential timeline, which I was given by society and by everyone around. And I just wanted to feel, like, yes, I'm a wife too, But unfortunately, I left my marriage. So I walked away after having quite a very long period of trying to kind of hypothetically figure out who I am. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that many people make, which is get married and not really know who they are. So then they put the burden on their partners of trying to discover themselves, or even get frustrated when their partner can't give them exactly what they desire. Now, I'm going to start with a few questions. You finna ask yourself these questions, but these are just my answers towards this whole process. So starting over, what does it look like for you? For me, starting over looked like leaving a place where I was, which was I was a homeowner and married to someone. It looked like I had a future set in stone that was planned, and walking away from that and coming back home to be living at home with my mom and my family, and obviously still have my home, or my basically my investment in the house, but I mean, I can't live there, so I don't really get much privacy. What else? I would say, to say the least, it's a lot of sacrifice that I decided to make. And at the time when I was doing it out of a place where I was down, and mentally I was exhausted. I was tapped out. My whole entire system was tapped out, and we'll talk about that in another episode. Okay, we're going to talk about why I left and all this kind of pee. But today we just want to address, what it means to start over. And for me, I feel like starting over in my 30s means there are so many opportunities for me. I have endless opportunities to redo things all over again, rectify the mistakes that was once made in my 20s. So decisions that was made because of things that I had never fully experienced, decisions that were made off the bat of other people, of sympathizing with people, decisions that were made not based off the identity that I wanted to embody, or even not based on any identity, because I feel like in your 20s you're very airy-fairy, like you don't really have a base of who you want to be, the structure of what you have in the future in your mind. I mean, you do kind of have ideas, but you don't really build a structure around it. I think your 30s is an opportunity to have a do-over. And I think for some people, they feel like it's old and it comes with limitations, but nope. I just look at it as another opportunity to redo my 20s, but this time I'm doing it with better experience, better understanding, more wisdom, and I've been able to kind of experience the part. I already know what's coming. Do you know what I mean? My mind is like, yeah, okay, I've finna seen this, so I finna know that this ain't for me. Like, so what is the thing that gingers inside you that recognizes that you need a change? I would say for me, just before I turned 30, at the cusp of it, I was fighting two battles. Do I go back into my marriage and try and make it work? Or do I start over and, really try to give myself the best chance I can? Now, obviously, fear was already on my mind because I was like, look, you're 30, everyone's telling you time is of the essence, this, blah, 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 blah. But in my mind, I was like, isn't there more to life than what I'm currently living? And if I carry on like this, would I have a life of regret when I enter my 50s, my 60s? Because where I'm currently placed, it's not even like it's necessarily serving me anymore. If anything, I was as good as dead. So it wasn't even a place that was serving me anymore. So if I really want to sit and continue on this pattern, which will continue, many people think that it takes that one thing to then cause a big catalyst into like one person actually changing and stuff. No, actually, I think people have to make a conscious effort to choose, the option of, okay, I think I see where I've gone wrong. But that's for another day. That conversation is for another day, honey. Another day. But I feel like a recognition for a need of change in general is when a space or box that you are in or around doesn't fit well to who you are or want to be, or project to who you want to be. So for me, I was like in this box that was just closing, like the lid was just falling ahead. It was falling apart. Everything was falling, and the box was literally compressing, getting smaller and smaller. There was no space for me to shine my light anymore. And that was when I was like, I need to change. Also, another need for change showed me in seasons where I was fearful. I was like, I'm not finna change. I don't want to do nothing. But I could see like turbulence around me. There was so much turbulence, and I was like, you know what? I can either sit with this, or I can go with the wave and move forward, ahead, and everything. And I feel like one of the biggest indicators of you needing a change is when there is turbulence around things. It's either you're walking towards a time for change, or you need to do something or learn something in that season that's going to affect change. Overcoming fear and doubt. Now for me, I look around, everyone finna say, what if you never get married when you're 30? Or I'm too old to get married in my 30s. I wanted to have children before I turn 30, or my children before I'm 30. Your body doesn't bounce back before you're 30. Or your eggs, half of your eggs die, or whatever. The stories are endless, trust me. Like, the stories are too plenty. Too much. Too plenty. Too plenty. And because of that reason, I always tell people, do what you're afraid of. Do what you're afraid of. If you feel like you are in a space that isn't suiting you best, that isn't aligning with where you think you want to be in the next 10 years, do what you think is best that makes you afraid the most. And I feel like if you can overcome fear, it comes from a negative place. Once you're operating in fear, oh, what if I never get married? What if I get married at 30 and I can't have children because I wait too long? Once you start programming your mind in a negative place, it's really hard for you to evolve beyond what you can see. But when you operate in the positive, what you are seeing is you're operating in faith. Positivity affects, like faith, basically. So when you're being positive, you're saying, right now, it don't look like it, but I'm hopeful that it's going to get better. And when you find yourself, when you're thinking something negative, you need a realignment. This is a very big indicator to your body that you need a change. Every time, if you keep seeing that your reaction to certain things or situation, or even conversations or anything, then you know that, okay, if this is a negative reaction, then I need some sort of mental realignment. And I feel like one of the thing about fear and doubt that it does to your body is that it makes you overwhelm yourself, because doubt makes you only pick one, like, out of the outcomes. In life, you have one or two outcomes, the good, the bad. You have the right, the wrong. You have one way, you have the other way. You have right and left. And you have a choice. And the thing about your body is, your body just tells you straight away, don't bother picking this choice. The positive choice, it can never happen. It will never ever happen. So you sit down and you dwell on the negative, and you're like, I'm just going to manage, because, I'm fearful to find out what's in front. So I just want to sit here and just manage where I'm at, because this is as good as it's going to get. And all you've done is allow doubt to highlight one way forward for you. And once you enable your mind to think one way forward, that's all your mind is going to think for the rest of your life. And I feel like overcoming your fear is one of the most difficult things a person can do. And the only way you can fight that is to do the thing that scares you the most. If you know you are in a space and it's not fitting you best, but you've known this space for the better part of your whole entire life, and you're thinking, what's on the other side of this space? Push yourself. You're at the edge of a mountain, you're at the edge of a ledge. Push yourself off to discover if you can really fly or not. It's two outcomes, and most people are too scared of the one way. Most people are too scared of the back way, the bad way. It's, oh God, what happens now? That's not for you to worry about, sis. The more you progress, the more you get to find out. Setting goals and planning. I feel like for me, it was really, really hard to try and visualize or set goals in a situation that I kept seeing, roadblocks. And that's the thing about getting into situations and places and spaces and around people that don't really understand your gift, your talents, your value. If your value is not seen where you are, you won't set any goals. You won't plan towards who you need to be. You will just stay content in how you are, because everything around you is very much how it is. So we'll continue like that for the next 10 years. And then you reach 40, 50 and you're wondering, if I had only just, And one of the ways I loved setting goals, and in a season where I was sad, confused, anxious, worried, everything was hitting my mind, I decided to do an unrealistic vision board. And I call it unrealistic because I need you to put down everything you desire, hunty, every single thing. That thing that looks crazy, put a butler, put a maid, put whatever you want inside. Now, I'm not trying to let you be consumed by this vision board, but what I want you to really do with this unrealistic vision board is to see the possibilities of how far your desires can take you. You can only will it if you feel it in your body. You can only have faith to believe that God is capable and able to do these things if you even physically visualize it. And how do we visualize? By using our eyes. We see all the negativity, we see positivity. Most times we decide to emulate and walk in the negativity because our whole entire, everything around us is operating in the negative. But if you begin to operate in the positive, then you live in faith. You're already living in the future. You're already saying to yourself, this current situation is not the life I'm going to live. I'm operating in the future. So create an unrealistic vision board. I'll probably put a link down below of the template of a vision board that I have. Amazing template. Really did wonders for me, and I'm still using it till today. And visualize what life will look like for you and achieve it. Just achieve it. Forget about planning, okay? If you want to keep planning and you are following God, you are deceiving yourself. Forget about planning. Rather, spend time to pray for direction for what is with God's will and what is against God's will. So I would advise that you forget about planning completely. Pray for direction on where God is taking you to. What is God's will for my life? What doesn't align with God's will? Then over time, you begin to see some of those things on your unrealistic vision board will either progress into good things or will either be struck off and you'll be like, oh no, this is not of God's will. But if you don't give yourself a big canvas and give God a big space to work with and a big map, then you're only limiting yourself. Oh God, I just want like a 3-bedroom house, and God is looking at you like, I'm willing to give you 5. But since your vision is only limiting you to this point, then so be it. It's about your faith. So, embracing change and adaptability. Now, for people in their 30s, and I say 40s and 50s and 60s too, because my mom is 60s, she's in her 60s, and she started having mental limitations. And I was like, sis, you are still young, you are still agile, you're still pretty, you're still beautiful. You just need to figure out what you want out of life in order to get fulfillment. And I feel like embracing change and adaptability is just basically developing a mindset to how to approach things. So you first have to remove mental limitations. Anything that gives you time constraints and tells you you must have baby before you're 80, you must have this. I mean, obviously, realistically, you should, but you must have baby before you're like 35. That those kind of limitations that, to one point, you have to realize that if God has said this is how it's gonna be, no matter how much you push and pull, it's God's will that will be done. But if you remove mental limitations, you make space and room for God to really grow you. Remove time constraints. Please remove all time constraints. I want to be married by 30. I want to be married by 35. Remove it. Absolutely remove it. All you can do is tell God, God, I really desire this, but if it's not in your will, nevertheless, let your will be done. When you start to put time constraints, you can easily pick wrongly. You can easily make mistakes. You can pick out of fear because of time. Remove external opinions of others who have no knowledge of where you are trying to go. Remove it, please. Remove it. This is one that I feel like is killing like entire thought process, visions, desires, everything. It literally kills. You go and you collect the opinion of someone who doesn't even, right now in the process, the person's not thinking what you're thinking. They're visualizing life at a neutral point of go to work, come back home, repeat. And you're thinking there's got to be more than life than this. You're both thinking on two different frequencies. So if you now try to get them to think on your frequency, they will only shrink your frequency back down to where theirs is. And then your mind shrinks and you think, maybe I'm just over dreaming, maybe I'm overthinking, no, you need to fight for yourself. Fight for what is right. Fight for what the life that you think you desire. Another thing that can help you embrace change and adaptability is to fall into what you fear. Fall into it. You fear going out by yourself, go. I had to learn that the hard way. When I started, coming back out, I was like, I'm going to start going out. And I started going out. I had my first ever opportunity to go to like a ladies' brunch where I knew absolutely nobody. And trust me, I was fearful, honey. I was like, this London where everyone is finna give you side eye. Like, ladies be out here just side eyeing you for no reason. Like, you two, you side eye them because you're like, it's not a good energy. Like, the vibes are bad on this end. But you have to fall into what you fear. And the beauty of it is everything I fell into at that time, like going to that event, I met like-minded women who just wanted to meet people and network, and lovely experience. And it was one of those things that I will always hold back into my head and say, you know what, I'm going to continue to do this. It opened my vision up to the possibilities are endless. And that's just it. The possibilities are really endless. Throw yourself out there. Go for events. Go for networking things. Go for opportunities to commune with other people out of spaces that you think are unreachable. That's the thing. Don't stay within your limitations. Oh, this is all I know, so I just want to stay here. No, go beyond your limitation. That's the only way you are going to discover how high can you fly, basically. Focus on positive sides of the coin. You have to focus on the positive. You cannot embody negativity. The more you embody negativity, the bitter you become, the frustrated you become. And man, I can tell you from experience, you will just become a sack of sadness. That's it. You'll be a sack of sadness. A sack of sadness. You don't want that for yourself. Overcoming setbacks and challenges. I feel like every single setback and challenge that comes with age goes back to society constraints. That's my thought process. Every single thing that comes with limitation of age and you're 30, oh my gosh, you must have been married, you must have children. Everything goes back to your age, goes back to that time that it's a social construct. Who says that it has to be on this time frame? Who says it has to be like this? Many people have made mistakes in their 20s and then grown and evolved from that mistake in their 30s to have a better life than what they envisioned. But because you didn't allow yourself grow and evolve, because you thought, I'm doomed. I've made this mistake since my 20s and I'm going to remain here. Overcoming setbacks and challenges. So, like I said earlier, I said it and I say it again. Time is the only thing that's like people are using to confront this 30s that we're so scared of. And I feel like it just goes down to the societal constraints that we have and all the constructs that we've been given. Get married at 25 or get engaged at 25, get married at 27, have a baby at 30 before you're 30. Great stuff, lovely stuff, great stuff. If you manage to do that, more power to you, honey. God loves you. How does it feel to be God's fave? But the rest of us who are just still trying to figure it out, don't put pressure on yourself to meet up with those time constraints. Actually enjoy, the growth of your age. I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to evolve and I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to be out there, honey. I'm trying to achieve stuff so that I don't make the same mistakes I did in my 20s again in my 30s. Now, in conclusion, I feel like your 30s are supposed to be a very big, enjoyable season in your life. It's supposed to be something fun. And one thing I would say is you should celebrate your wins. Yep, celebrate the wins. Acknowledge all the emotions that you are feeling. If you feel lonely, if you feel sad, if you feel unfulfilled, acknowledge them. Understand why you are feeling the way you are feeling. This is not your 20s where you can just act out and, like, throw a tantrum and do that. Like, actually fully develop in your emotions. Like, why do I feel this way? What in my life can, maneuver or change or improve that can make me feel better? If it's about fulfillment, I say seek purpose. And if you want to know how to seek purpose, look below. There's a link below on our fifth episode of our podcast, which is about purpose and the importance of discovering purpose. Forget all the time constraints connected to your 30s. Forget all the stories, the societal things. It's hard to forget, and Bella Niger is always, giving us content consistently, boom, bam, boom. But you two, you're going to be on Bella Niger very soon one day. But you want to do it the right way. You don't want to be one of those couples like me that ended up on there and then a couple of years later telling their story to encourage somebody else out there not to rush or run into something that they haven't fully allowed their self as a person to develop. Create your own milestones. Create your own milestones. I cannot say this enough. Create your own milestones, please. Like, stay away from milestones of everybody else. Like, the milestones are great, but create your own. What is a milestone to you? For me, a big milestone was writing my book. Because I was like, wow, like, I can't believe I did that. That was a milestone for me. A milestone is starting this video, going back to YouTube consistently, trying to focus on my podcast. And that's a milestone for me because I ain't achieved those things in this life. These are things that I'm holding myself down on rather than worrying about the milestones that other people are achieving. Because, life is a circle. It comes around. Every single person will get to experience all the good things, all the marriages, all the everything. But if you don't enjoy and embrace your own personal milestones, you will just get lost with the wind and the whole run of life. Ignore the rules of society and set your own standard. Heavy on the set your own standard. Heavy on the set your own standard. Because the streets, it ain't safe. Yes. Ignore the rules of society. All this, marry a man that's going to give you a Bentley, a Rolls Royce, he got to be rich, honey. He got to... Sis, come on. How much do you have in your bank account? Actually, let's actually be real. I'm not saying, set your limitations so low. God, I beg. Please don't. But set your own standard. What matters to you? What are the core values that matter to you as a woman? What matters? What is important to you? Is it important for you to meet a partner that you guys can grow into purpose together so you can achieve your goals, they can achieve their goals, and then you guys have a successful home? What are your standards in terms of your identity and your roles in the household? For example, if you want to be a traditional girly and you want to be at home, is he ready to foot the bills all the time? How does it make you feel and look? How does it make him feel and look? You have to set your own rules. Even set your own rules on in terms of basic things like going out. Set your own rules. It seems like a taboo for you to go to an event on your own. Go. It seems like a taboo to go to the cinema on your own. Go. Like, actual set your own rules. This world is big enough for you to exist under the personality, emotions, identity, whatever it is that you want to emulate in this season. You can, but set your own rules. Build a good support system and network with a bunch of like-minded individuals. Like-minded individuals is it's a heavy one because you can only get to where you're going as far as you can see it. If I'm going around with someone I can see that's going the same place I'm going to and they're a bit more ahead, I can actually watch their journey and be like, okay, this is how they did this is how they did that. And you kind of like grow through it rather than finding yourself around, communities that are not really where you're going. Like, to be honest, I'm not saying don't have friends that have different ideas than you. What I'm saying is network around like-minded individuals. Make it a day. I'm going to network. I'm leaving my house today to go and network. It's a choice that you make. It's an intentional journey that you're on. Don't be afraid to occupy space in the world. There's enough space for you and me, honey. There's enough space. There are different varieties of bread. When you go to the shops, you see all kinds of bread. There's space for all that bread to exist. During lockdown, the aisle of bread was empty. So just like seasons like that, when there's high demand, you will be chosen. But don't force yourself into an uncomfortable space because you're just like, oh no, I don't think anyone will really value what I have to bring. 500 people already do the same thing. So Something about you is unique, and you are called with that uniqueness. Evolve in it, grow in your uniqueness, learn your unique. Like, you being unique is what makes the next person think, oh my days, like I really want to be like you. Oh, like, don't you think so? I want to go on this journey too. Like, learn to be unique. And lastly, keep informed and take key advice to help you develop further in each season. Now, this one, very, very important, very, very important, because you're only as useful as the information you know, to be honest. So try and keep yourself informed in the area of expertise you want to grow in. You keep yourself informed about changes to, your body when you're turning 30. Keep yourself informed about every single thing in your life and take key advice so that you can develop further in each season. So if you're in a season of hustling and trying to get your career off the ground, take your advice, take the advice you need. If you're a season where you're building a business, take that advice. If you're in a season where you're trying to network, take the advice. Like, focus on the season you're in. Make it an independent, isolated journey. It's about you and you alone, nobody else. If you make it about you, you are able to evolve beyond what the world can see. That's the truth. If you make yourself, limited, or make your vision limited, you will only evolve beyond what you can see. And that's just the truth. But I would say that for me, starting over in my 30s has been one of the best experiences I can ever speak on. Like, the best. Because I get to have the knowledge of what the 20s look like. Like, I already see the mess before it comes. I'm like, oh, avoid this. Oh, avoid that. Like, I can already see where, rubbish lele, I don't want. So because I can see that, I'm already aware and I already have the wisdom that, okay, this don't align with the path I'm on. But in your 20s, somehow you can be blindsided. Somehow, sometimes, you can just be naive. And maybe if you were part of the frontal lobe gang that received their frontal lobe earlier than others, some of us, we are only developing our frontal lobe in our 30s. God help us. But all the same, there is no time constraint to any experience. No time constraint into anything you're feeling and experiencing. Just allow God lead you and grow on your journey. And allow these 30s to be one of the most successful, one of the most effective, one of the most fruitful years you've ever experienced. And feel, so you can feel true joy from the well of your belly. You're not just following the bandwagon and you look down 5 years down the line, chai, all I did was follow. Like, you actually be someone that when people look at, they'll be able to say that, yes, you know what, because they went on that journey, I feel like I can do that too. That's just what it is. We live in a world where people literally just replicate what was. We are replicating past traditions, past rituals, past everything, and bringing it forward and trying to, make it our best. We're trying to refurbish it to do best. And my refurbishment for everything is, don't sit in a box that don't suit you best. It sounds crazy, but it's the truth. I think if you stay in places that don't fit you, you'll become uncomfortable. You will grow ill and sick. Yes, you will, because your girl has very good knowledge in that. You will also find yourself in a place where you can end up beyond depressed to the point of suicide, because there's nothing you're living for. You're just living for living's sake. So that's my advice. Start over in your 30s and make it good, baby. Make it good. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to see you next time. Serious, on serious note, I pray that your 30s will mark a different thing in your life. Like, you will evolve in this season. I'm 100% sure. Continue to go on the journey. Continue to follow the podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time, next video. Love you guys. Bye.